Hello y'all and welcome back to Booked with the Cook. Well, I hope everybody has had a restful 4th of July, and it's been real hot outside, and I think we need a nice, fresh, fantastical way to cool off this summer. So let me introduce y'all to one of my favorite fantasy series for culinary inspiration, Redwall. The Redwall series, written by Brian Jacques, is known primarily for two things: furry critters running around with swords, and the extremely detailed descriptions of food. Seriously, if you decide to pick up these books, just be prepared to be hungry the entire time. Now let's get started on today's recipe, one of Redwall's most common drinks, strawberry cordial. But you might be asking yourself, what in the world is a cordial? You might have heard of being cordial, which is defined as being polite, pleasant, and friendly. Or perhaps you've heard of a cherry cordial, a chocolate-covered cherry candy commonly sold around the holidays. But a cordial in the Redwall universe is instead a drink flavored with strawberry juice. So let's see what other definitions we might be able to dig up. A cordial can be, as defined by the Merriam-Webster Dictionary, either a liqueur or a stimulating medicine or drink. That's just a bit broad, so let's analyze this some more. A liqueur is defined as a sweetened alcoholic liquor with some kind of flavoring in addition to the sweetness. Alright, now we're on to something. In the book, strawberry cordial is stored in barrels, usually in a cellar, which leads me to believe that this cordial does at least have some fermentation like most alcoholic beverages. However, this is a drink I'd like everyone in the family to be able to enjoy. So instead of creating a strawberry liqueur, I'm going to lean pretty heavily on the cordial's second definition of a stimulating medicine or drink. Now, I don't know about medicine, but you know what a stimulating drink sounds like? Soda. Homemade strawberry soda. The two crucial components of which are seltzer, which is just carbonated water, and the far more complex matter of the syrup. So, after a good deal of experimentation, this is my official recipe for strawberry cordial. The ingredients you'll need are 1 pound of frozen strawberries. You can also use fresh strawberries if you'd like, however, they're not in season where I am, so frozen will likely be just a bit sweeter. 1 cup of sugar, the juice and zest of 1 lemon, I'm using a Meyer lemon here, 1 cup of water, and a half cup of fresh basil, which we'll go ahead and chop. Now, basil is a pretty delicate herb that can bruise very easily, so I'm going to show you how I like to chop it. Now take the leaves, layer them on top of one another, and roll them. Yeah, I know, leave the jokes down in the comments if you must. Once you've gotten them together, just gently slice across the roll. Now that we've got our basil chopped, let's move on to the stove. Start off by turning on your heat to medium-high. Then blend together your sugar and your water. Dump in your strawberries. Zest and juice your lemon. And finally, throw in your basil. Give it a good mix and bring to a boil, and keep stirring it occasionally for about 10 minutes or so. All we've done here is take a simple syrup, which is equal parts water and sugar, and jazz it up with a few other flavors. While we're waiting for this to cook down, let's talk about the history of what we're doing. Specifically, if we're making a strawberry soda, would that be accurate to something fermented in a barrel like in Redwall? The answer is both yes and no. Fermented drinks, such as beer, have been around for centuries. Many societies throughout history have produced some form of alcohol as a way of preserving grain yields when they couldn't use it all for bread. Now, a byproduct of fermentation, which is yeast consuming sugars within a mixture to produce alcohol, is carbon dioxide, which means that depending on the fermentation technique being used, a drink absolutely can be fizzy. But not quite as fizzy as soda, which is, as mentioned before, carbonated water, pure carbon dioxide being dissolved in water but not fermented in any way. This was invented much later in the 1760s by a fellow named Joseph Priestley. Really on accident, because he was trying to separate atmospheric gases from one another to study their individual effects. He put the carbon dioxide back into the water he was using and noticed it was bubbly, and decided to go the Skyrim route, I guess, by taking a drink and realized that he liked the resulting fizziness. He even thought that this resulting soda might actually have some medicinal properties, so I guess that stimulating medicine definition checks out. Kinda. Man, what is with people eating and drinking random stuff on this show? So while it's not a perfect recreation of a medieval fermented drink, it does meet the qualifications to be a cordial and has a pretty interesting history to boot. Alright, back to the recipe. Once your mixture is done with a 10-minute simmer, it's time to blend and strain it. Just like with the potato soup recipe, you can use a regular blender or even a potato masher if you don't have an immersion blender. Get out a bowl and a fine wire mesh sieve. Pour your fruit syrup in and stir it around to separate the liquid from the pulp. You can also use a bit of cheesecloth in addition if you want a completely clear syrup, but I'm going for something a bit more rustic. And by rustic, I mean I'm too lazy to get out the cheesecloth and I actually like the floaty bits. Once you've gotten as much syrup out of your mixture as you can, go ahead and pour it up into your bottles, jars, or whatever container you prefer. You have your syrup, but say you want to drink your cordial right now. Get out a glass with some ice and a bottle of soda water. Measure out the amount of syrup you want. I'm putting in about 4 tablespoons. This orange spoon I have here is actually a 2 tablespoon measure. Engage in the age-old family tradition of having soda explode on you for no reason. Pour soda over the top and stir. And there you have it, your very own homemade strawberry cordial. This is really good, y'all. Please try it for yourselves, you won't regret it. If you find there's a different fruit you like better, let me know in the comment section down below and I might redo this recipe later on down the road with your fruit suggestions. And with that, I will see y'all later. Stay cool, my friends.